Hello. So, yeah, if you figured it out, VM44. I did a video on it earlier. I've got a load of newspapers shoved in it at the moment to try and get it to the actual proper shape. Because obviously it's been crushed for quite a while, it seems, in storage. But there's the VM44. It all seems intact. It doesn't work. I did test it with a modern filter on it. The straps and everything are fine, but obviously the fabric of the mask is all pretty good. What do you mean not to VM44? I'm glad you like it, Sam. I said it's mostly just people posting about, whatever on there, really. But it's sort of quite interesting. So, yeah, it has a similar strap system to some of the French masks, actually, where you've got the two bottom sort of straps that just do that. They loop over. It's not a brilliant system. But, yeah, so I've just got a load of paper shoved in it at the moment to see if I can get it to sort of resemble its original shape. But I am next year going to Chile. What it is. All right, links. VM44. Volksmask or Volksmask 44, the last-ditch Nazi German mask. As you can see, it's made very crudely. It has got an exhale valve on the side, so that is better than the British masks, but civilian masks of World War II. But the actual main mask is just like a canvas material. Yeah, I see the whaler masks, yeah. See what you mean when you say that. I think they look a bit more like the British C7, the whaler masks, because the British C7 has a very similar setup to this, but it's actually rubber. So what, was there a VM45, or was it just, as the war went on, VM44 quality went downhill? But yeah, for the people interested in it, whether or not the webcam will show it up, instant way to get the stream demonetized. If it will focus. There we go. Yeah, very. The seller posted it Monday afternoon, and it came this morning with the regular Royal Mail. So it literally only had a 1-day transit time, so very good. And that was second class as well. So yeah, £10 all in all, so very happy with this. Yep, a Reich Eagle. Yeah, Mike, if you're streaming at 10 tonight, I don't know if I'll be able to catch it tonight, because Bart wants to play games with me on Steam or something. So I think we're starting playing stuff around 9, but then if that's still going on in the stream at 10, I won't catch it. Yeah, funnily enough, the German World War II masks were what was to become 40mm NATO. To demonstrate that, there's just a modern particulate NATO filter, P3 one. And then there you go. But as I said, the mask doesn't work just because so much air leaks through the fabric now due to age. I hope you enjoy your comedy films, but I suppose that's good timing for me in a way, Mike, because, today would be the day I probably couldn't catch a stream anyway, so then that works out pretty well, actually. So, yeah, for the people who are wondering why it's full of newspaper and stuff, I'm just stuffing that in there to try and get it to go back to its original shape, because I guess the person who sold it had just had it shoved in a box somewhere. All right, thank you, Laser. I appreciate a donation as always. But yeah, there's the VM44 in person with all the newspaper shoved in it. I'm not going to get any World War I masks unless I saw them really, really cheap, just because I wouldn't be able to look after them properly. Yeah, particulate filters are the things that work in a nuclear scenario, because the paper HEPA filters in them, or whatever's the particulate filter, is what catches radioactive dust. I mean, full NBC filters are particulate filters and charcoal, but otherwise it is just a particulate filter in there. Celluloid, I imagine, like old film. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not glass. I'm pretty sure it's celluloid, which is why they're slightly discoloured. When the mask came, because the crispy, it had the anti-fog inserts in it, but they were crispy and falling apart. I carefully picked those out and just binned them, because if I wanted to put new anti-fog inserts in theory, the GP5 ones are like the exact same thing. But yeah, the original ones were just falling apart and crumbling. Doesn't remind me of the Snork mask at all, unless you're on about the GP5. But yeah, this is more like a GM sort of 30, but just civil kind of thing. And I'm doing the same thing with my GM38 at the moment, as you can see, although the GM38 is broken anyway. I'm just shoving loads of paper in there just to see if I can get the mask to go back to being its original shape, because you can see there it's been pretty crumpled over the years. Because I think somebody obviously, again, stored this probably with a load of weight on the mask. What, this mask? Like a canvas bag smell? It's barely got a smell. Or do you mean the celluloid? That's not even got a smell at all. That's barely got a smell as well, actually, to be honest. Sometimes I find old gas masks smell of cigarettes, but I think that's just where they were owned by somebody who used to smoke. But, I'll pop them back on there. VM37, because it actually has the proper hood. Yeah, there's no actual rubber, though, even in the inside of this. It's fabric. I mean, yeah, with the GM38, I suppose it could do. It's already a broken mask, so I'm not particularly worried it's not going to work, you know, so that's just falling down. Yeah, that's a British Mark IV respirator there. Mark IV GSR. What's the most radioactive object I have? In terms of alpha radiation, americinium. In terms of overall radiation, probably Fiestaware. All right, cool. What masks are they, Sam, if you don't mind saying? Because 12's quite a number. Shum 41 is better quality than the GP5. GP5 is the Shum 62, isn't it? Where they basically just... It's just got smaller bits of metal on it to make it cheaper to make. Well, basically, masks without rubber are like the really cheaply made ones. Because again, that's why it doesn't work anymore, because the fabric is obviously letting air through quite easily now. Yeah, but that's an actual thing I do laser. Because I make revenue from YouTube, I do all the accounting, and obviously it's expenses from that if I buy stuff like masks and Sherman videos. So yeah, that's the thing I specifically do, is I have to keep track of how much I'm making, and then yeah, any masks I buy can be deducted because they're going to be featured in video. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do like that. To be honest, with the new PC I'm ordering, because the new PC is primarily for video editing, I can probably like knock $2.5 grand off of my tax for that, which is quite a good thing to do. Yeah, but bear in mind, you actually have to back it up with stuff. You can't just buy stuff and then say it's my YouTube videos if they're not in YouTube's. There's no point in me claiming back regular VAT on normal stuff, because that's pointless, to be honest. But as I said, it just means that how it works is basically, without going into loads and loads of boring detail, it's just when you'd normally have a tax threshold for when you've earned a certain amount of money after you start paying taxes, all you do is basically, because you're discounting the YouTube or whatever you're doing, numbers from that as business expenses, it means that you have to earn a lot more essentially before you start thingy. You know. M17 hoods do fit on the M10M, but not brilliantly, because the like mouth bit with the voice diaphragm and drinking tube is bigger on the M10 than the M17. Oh yeah, put a screenshot of all the things you ordered in the Discord after the stream. Sounds good. But when I used to work at Argos, we sometimes had to do VAT claim back forms for people from outside the UK. We're like here on holiday buying stuff, and that is an absolute pain in the arse. So I definitely wouldn't want to do it for everything I buy. I wonder, with a Chernobyl tour guide, would they have like a dosimeter thing you need to wear throughout the year? So like nuclear plant workers, so you're told to stop working if you get over a certain dose. Left-handed masks of any sort are normally rarer than right-handed ones, as in right-handed shooters, so filter on the right side, not the left side. I don't know if they're particularly rare, but that was a good price for it, because £15 would be good for an S6 full stop. Evening, Richard, you're right. Well, is that like 3 times a day for going in during the day, going home kind of thing? What are the new 4 you're planning on getting then, Laser? Now, as I said before on streams, I don't need to sell masks because I primarily collect them rather than buying and selling them. Well, when you say a medium nuclear bomb, do you mean megatons or kilotons or what? You'd probably have to use nuke map to work out whereabouts the blast radius would be. But if assuming you mean you're out of the blast radius to protect from fallout, you wouldn't have to be all that deep. What, the Nambu pistol is that? Don't have one. That's cool. What are the MSA masks then? Are they like panoramic ones or are they like mining type ones? Ah, that sounds excellent, Richard. But yeah, I've got another panoramic mask on order because I want to, when it comes, see if I like it more or less than the Spaziani. It's called a Climax something or other, which Climax sounds more like it should be a brand of sex toys or condoms rather than masks. But let's see if I can... I think it's this one, Climax, but I got it for like 30 quid, not 40 odd quid. Climax Class 2 DIN silicon full face mask. Let's just see if I Google Climax Class 2, if more info comes up on them. And that's coming up with trains now. I think its actual name is Climax 731. Let me just have a check. Yeah, if you Google image Climax 731, that's the mask I've got on order. But it looks like it should be a fairly good full-face panoramic mask. Depends on the gas Nazar. If it's blister agents like mustard gas or lewisite, it causes extreme skin irritation and damage. Lewisite will actually kill through skin exposure as well because of poisoning the blood. Nerve agents actually kill through touching the skin. It will kill in less quantity if inhaled. I see you're not listening. Yeah, So that's the thing at the moment, Laser. I'm getting quite into panoramic masks just because of, how many good panoramic masks there seem to be for quite cheap now. Yeah, I'm hoping the straps are a bit better than the pewter one, though. But I think the closest mask to the pewter one is actually a Draeger panoramic mask. Let's see if I can work out what that one's called. But I'm pretty sure the Draeger Explorer is the one the pewter directly copies. Which is apparently a very good map because the straps are done a lot better on the Draeger Explorer. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the Draeger Explorer 6300 is the that one. But yeah, it's just because I'm getting quite into panoramic masks because obviously they're good if you want to do stuff and not seem as threatening. And I quite like the good field of view you get on a lot of them. And it seems to be 40mm, which is good, so it obviously means it's not going to have any weird sort of filters on it. Yeah, blister agents are pretty common. They were used massively in World War One. World War Two, they were most of the stockpiles. Iraq used mustard and lewisite, as far as I was aware. Wow. Is this with a mask on or off, Nazar? Because if you've not got a mask, pretty much any gas will kill you through inhalation. I don't know about GP5, Sam, because how mass-produced a GP5 is, because supposedly they built over 100 million of them. So it's going to take quite a while for GP5 stocks to dry up. But yeah, masks that weren't made in great quantities as time goes on will start going up in price quite a lot. Plasma cutter, that seems a bit pointless, cutting masks open with a plasma cutter. That sounds like a sort of good price. I don't know too much. I was really lucky to get my East German greatcoat for like £10 or something, £10 to £12, I think I paid for mine. But that was just one of those cases of like nobody bid on it when it was on like a £3 starting bid on eBay. But yeah, I don't actually know what the price of USSR like officer coats are. I'm sure it looks good. So how does a plasma cutter actually work then? Is it a bit like a welder? Oh yeah, it does work essentially like a welder then, doesn't it? Oh cool, well let me look up that one. Yeah, nuclear war is pretty possible in the event of a full-scale war now. Let's have a look at that A820 suit. Alright, hopefully that doesn't rustle too much, because the ones coming up on Google Images look a bit like... Actually, no, if it's the ex-police one, that should be pretty good. But yeah, some of the ones coming up are like the rubberized... Not rubberized, like the plasticky ones. Okay, so if it's the police one, that's actually good. Yeah, I was just thinking some might have been like that. Is it the Honeywell one? I'm trying to think. Is it 3M Honeywell? I'm trying to remember what company it was that did that plasticky the tie chem. That's DuPont, isn't it? But yeah, that just rustles like somebody's getting crisp packets and just doing that non-stop with it. But yeah, if it's like a British style NBC suit, it should be fine. Yeah, hopefully it fits you all right. But yeah, like I said, NBC suit sizes can be a bit weird sometimes, because some of them seem to give a bit more than you think, and others seem way tighter. Well, rubberized one-piece NBC suits are probably the easiest ones to use in a sense, because all you do is really climb into it and then kind of button the front up of them. But it depends, it's personal preference and everything, because I found personally I like the top half of a Polish L1 suit combined with fishing waders. That seems to offer a really good level of protection and actually be quite comfortable. The Hour, yes, is very good. Out of those, I'd say the Hour. The Israeli M15 and 4A1 are fine as well, but the MSA Hour, I reckon, would be the toughest of all of them and give you the best field of view. German World War II Volksmask 44. I've got newspaper in it at the moment to keep it sort of in good condition, or like to try and stretch it back out to the shape it's meant to be. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because it does help me. Seems to get it shared by YouTube. This fell over that, or it's not fall on the floor. That's strange. I wouldn't have thought it'd been anywhere near as comfortable as the Hour, the SM74, because I have the previous generation Swiss mask, and that's not particularly comfortable. It's all right, but what, the English box respirator? You can sort of see that. I suppose that's more because it's made from a canvasy material, isn't it? Which one, the Chinese M65 or the German M65 Zacode Rex? Because there's two masks called M65. Right, let's have a look. What do you mean, that bit there? I'd assume that's just where they've maybe done that to lighten the strap. Or maybe it might be so when you put the NBC hood on, a button in the NBC hood goes on that. Because I could imagine that being something that connects to the, what were the old NBCs called that uses the Zodiac suit, wasn't it? It might be the Zodiac suit clips onto there, but I'm not entirely sure. It could just be a design feature they've done on the mask for whatever reason. You know, a bit like how there's on the back of this holes in the rubber, I guess, just to make it more lightweight. It could just be something like that, a weight reduction feature and a cheaper feature. Well, I don't actually know. 20 odd pounds, Riley. They're not worth all that much. What do you mean it doesn't work in a suit? My M15 works fine in an NBC suit. It's just getting the right sort of hood on an NBC suit. Probably not GP5s, Connor. They use lots of different masks. Rebreathers, IP4s and IP5 rebreathers. Shim 41s would have been the military issued mask. They had like the Y2K or U2K sort of half face respirators. GP5Ms or PMG2s. It's probably just the suit, because it's probably that you just need to get one that does tighter up at the chin. What, as in, what do I search, Laser? Thanks again for the donation. Like, what do I search for to try and find results? Or do you mean something else? So I can tell you, like, just the things I type in if you want. Oh, well, basically, what I normally do is, this might explain it, so I go on eBay, so let me do that now, and I'll just type in something like gas mask, and then I'll scroll the like the first few pages and see if anything interesting comes up. So at the moment, the most interesting things: a light anti-gas respirator. There's a couple of light anti-gas respirators on here. A couple of S10s. There's an S10 people are bidding on that's currently like £7, just to let you guys know. An S6 people are bidding on for £10. Yeah, to give you some idea, that's what I do there. So I do a few pages looking through at gas masks to see if I can find anything interesting on there. There's currently a Volks mask, what looks like 40, pre-owned with no bids on it for $1.99, just to let people know. So generally, I go through the first few pages with gas mask typed in to see if I spot anything interesting. Then what I normally do is type in stuff like respirator, see if I get any interesting results for that. But you can also just browse by category like militaria. So what I could do, for example, is if I scroll up to the top of the page, I could, so let me just type in gas mask again. I can click surplus equipment. Then I can take gas mask out and it should just do surplus equipment. There we go. So what I can do at the moment is look at all different categories for different surplus things. And it's got, so at the moment it's like military backpacks, trousers, like firearms cases, ammo boxes, webbing, camo, shoes, parachutes for some reason. Don't know if I trust a second-hand parachute, but there you go. Scrim netting, camo netting, more ammo boxes, dog tags, helmets. Yeah, does that sort of answer your question? Not all of them contain arsenic. It's a pre-filter that has the arsenic in it. Yep, 30 USD seems a good price for a PBF if it's got the bag and the filters. What, Nikola Tesla, the old scientist? I do know who Tesla is, yeah. You'd have to ask Weapon Collector my name down, but I'm sure you can. The Mark V is actually really rare if you've got a proper Mark V random sod. Because the Mark V is pretty much the Mark IV with a special liner in, isn't it? Because for the most part, it was just Mark IV helmets and then Mark VI. No, I've not seen your question, repost it. So, destroyed DDR jackets then. Because when you're protecting yourself, as I said on almost every stream recently, from radioactive dust, a half-face mask is fine. You probably want them to have a better field of view if they're on the roof, picking stuff up than having a full face mask on. Lots of shorts coming up at the moment. I'll shout out if I spot anything that looks a bit more interesting. A couple of old gas mask bags. Flectarn raincoat, it looks like is £20. That's a very good price for them. I'm not sure if this is the windproof one or the actual raincoat, but regardless, £20 for a Flectarn coat's pretty good. I've already got a load of Flectarn stuff. Alright, thanks again for the donation, Laser. You enjoy your toasty. We've got a toasty maker and I barely use it, which is a real shame. I need to actually get around to remembering to use it. Did you watch that Thomas the Tank Engine thing yet, Mike? I think you'd enjoy those if you haven't watched those yet. Let me think of it. You obviously know about the Horde, don't you? Because you told me about the Horde. I'm trying to think now if there's any. It has to have a particle bit on it. The ABEC bit doesn't do anything against nukes. So if it was an ABEC P3, then yes. But all you really need is the P3 bit, as in just something as simple as one of these. But yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, definitely watch Shed 17 because you'll enjoy that. And Project G1 or whatever it is, the sequel to Shed 17. There's two Y2Ks up there. Yeah, there's the old style Y2K on that side with the bigger nose clip, the newer style Y2K with the better elastic straps and the smaller nose clip there. So, yeah, that's that. Just trying to remember how doesn't matter. I was just trying to remember how I did certain things with the chat, but it doesn't matter. Right. Yeah, both are off eBay. Hype found a link to the older one, but it is just literally called a U2K or a Y2K. No, you're not banned because I can see your comment. Yeah, well, we've been talking about HBO's version of Chernobyl already today, but yeah, I've got on Blu-ray. I'll wait till I get a load more comments on. Well, I've heard some people say it is and other people say it's not, and there's people arguing in the comments on that video, and that always seems to happen on the helmet video, right? Where you can't exactly ID something. People argue with each other in the comments what kind of helmet it is, and I'm still none the wiser of what type it is, so I don't care. It's an aluminium reproduction of a German Stauhelm for the fire brigade. So you didn't answer my question, Mike. Have you watched Shed 17 yet in the sequel? Because if not, watch them tonight and they'll give you a good laugh. They're fucked up, but you'll find them funny. Is that the artillery one or whatever it is? Or something, Sam? Or the anti-air one? Because I know there's some various versions of helmets which were for anti-air crews, which had like more kind of shrapnel protection. Alright, you missed it. Yeah, right, yeah, cool. Watch that tonight, you'll enjoy it. Watch Shed 17 and then Project G1, and I reckon they'll make you, I reckon you'll really enjoy them. They're fucked up, but you'll find them quite funny. I've had rats before. Rats are very intelligent, yeah. But you need to give them a lot of attention. They're quite prone to illness. Do you know what they're called, Sam? I don't actually know what that mask is off the top of my head. No. It literally means self-contained underwater breathing apparatus and self-contained breathing apparatus. So yeah, the only bit, the U in scuba, just means it's for underwater use. So in theory, the scuba works on land fine and underwater, where a regular SCBA shouldn't work underwater. But again, it's just literally the U in scuba just means it's designated, it will work underwater. It's been a lot colder today. I was expecting it to rain all day, and it's not. It's just been overcast and everything, but it's been quite cool today at least. But they're expecting like really heavy wind and rain this weekend on Saturday. Sorry, on Friday. I'm quite looking forward to that actually, because I really do like it when it's like proper stormy weather, not just a bit of rain. What state are you in then? If it's really hot, 'cause I suppose it would depend on the state as well, wouldn't it? Somewhere like Florida or California, or Arizona's going to be a lot hotter than somewhere like Washington State or Maine or somewhere like that. All right, see you, Rich, if you're off. Arkansas. Yeah, I don't actually know what the weather's normally like, though. In theory, yes, the code Rex, because there's lots of images you can find online of people in like military or police use who have regular respirators that just have an oxygen, like air kind of connector on the 40 millimeter intake, and there's videos online where people have literally rigged GP5s up with air tanks. It's possible. You just have to be very careful and know what you're doing. I wonder if that's because of just like the air currents and stuff like that, Gabriel, because obviously the UK, we've had like a record-setting heat wave this year. Yeah, it's just the only thing. I'd just be very careful if you're buying like scuba gear or whatever, that you really know what you're doing with it. Just because it's not as bad as rebreathers, but there are still a lot of risks with like pressurized air tanks if you like fuck about with them. JSP, is that one of the half-face ones? Let me have a look. The JSP Force 8, which looks a bit like a 3M one, I'm familiar with that one. I don't actually have one. But I do sort of know that one because it's one of the ones that, you can actually get quite cheaply if you wanted a brand new half-face mask. But A2P3 is pretty good for a filter, but I don't know what zinc would actually be classed as. Because, well, the main reason is that you can't properly 100% filter smoke and carbon monoxide using filters. So you need a positive pressure mask supplying you with air, just so the air is a breathable temperature and safe to breathe. Yeah, I saw that there was some protests in Moscow. Isn't that over a mayoral thing or something? Or like people being disbarred from being in the local election? And yeah, I know about all the Hong Kong protests and like riots as well. Yeah, you can use pretty much any gas mask as long as it still works and you can get filters for it. But bear in mind, in a mustard gas situation, you need full NBC gear on because mustard gas and lewisite both like cause severe skin damage if your skin's exposed. Oh, excuse me, I'm yawning slightly. That's what I just said, that they don't use filters, they use positive air pressure things with an air tank. Because as I said, filters can't filter everything from smoke and you can't filter carbon monoxide. If you were addressing that to me, my name, Dan. Isn't the CO bit there on those filters laser against quite low quantities of carbon monoxide? Because as far as I'm aware, it's actually like a chemical reaction thing, a bit like how a scrubber unit works on a rebreather. And I think they can't do more than a certain amount per like minute or whatever, or like per concentration. Yeah, so that's the problem. That yeah, the filter will work against carbon monoxide, but only in low concentrations. Yeah, better than nothing exactly, but obviously with firemen, they could be in situations with very high CO. The other thing that somebody was saying to me in a comment was that because the air temperatures can be really hot, the filter won't cool down the air. But if you're using an air tank, the air can always be kept at a certain temperature. So, that's one of the other things as well, is that you need to be really careful that obviously if you're in a situation like that, you're not going to broil your lungs essentially from breathing in really, really hot air. So that's another advantage air tanks have over using a filter. That's getting into politics, grenade gaming, but we'll have to see what he does. I don't like, though, that the Tories already think they can have another war on drugs and that prohibition will fix things. I still got it. It sits in a cupboard at the moment, Sam, but you mean my M3 diaphragm mask, whatever it's called. Well, as we were just saying, Asen, if it's really hot gas or air, you want a SCBA unit, not a filter. Because arsenic would neutralise different things coming in through the gas, just like they use chromium for ages to get rid of ammonia. It's basically like a catalytic converter. It might sound stupid on the face of it, but it's better to have something contained within the filter that gets rid of something poisonous from getting through it. What about the PTM one? There's one there and one there. There. No. Oh, that's cool, but yeah. I'd pick one up if they were on sale for a good price, just because of how hard it is to get American masks over here. Not sure what you mean by that, Asen. Is that a YouTuber or is it a company name or whatever? Oh, do you mean PC Part Picker? I've used that in the past, but I'm just doing my PC with CyberPower for the current one. But currently, I'm just still in the queue of people waiting to actually be able to get a Ryzen 3900. That's annoying if they actually cut up a US mask to make the goggles. I mean, if it was already a damaged, falling apart mask, I suppose it doesn't matter. But it is annoying when people destroy rare masks to make costumes or whatever. All right, General, I don't think you've missed too much. What about YouTube Rewind? I don't think I've ever watched any of those YouTube Rewind things. Is that one of the thread rippers, Asen? That's annoying, so they don't work, Sam. Yeah, my one wasn't, at least, but sadly it's broken now just through my own fault. Yeah, lots of people make false claims about masks to sell them. Yeah, apparently when the Ryzen 3 Threadripper comes out in a month or two, that's meant to be even better again, but currently the 3900 is still the top-rated CPU on CPU benchmarks and all that sort of stuff, but I'm really looking forward to getting it. It's just going to be a right, it's just quite annoying having to wait and wait and wait, but there's not much you can do about that. It's just because AMD shouldn't have made such a good CPU, really. Or they should have, made more of them. Also, I don't think Bing's on, is he? Because we were on about this yesterday. I thought I'd buy a copy of it for shits and giggles. I've heard it's a very good book, though. You get a GP5, Tim. They're very cheap on eBay. Like £10. I've got the British Mickey Mouse gas mask Zeppelin, not the US one. For obvious reasons that it's like the rarest mask in the world. I just said on eBay. Amazon or eBay, type in GP5 gas mask. Yeah, that's very cool, Sam, isn't it? So there's like videos I've seen where people go into like some sort of communal building, like a town hall, a school, whatever like that. They go in the basement where there's like an improvised fallout shelter, and then there's just crates of gas masks in there. Yeah, my grandpa's fine, thanks, not Alice, if that was to me you're addressing that. Thank you for asking. Well, it's an Asus ROG Phone 2. Let me, if that's a smartphone, I'm not all that interested, but I'll still search it up. Or is that like a gaming phone thing? I think I may have vaguely heard about them, but again, I'm not too interested in smartphones, for most things. My Moto's still absolutely, that's not even in frame. My Moto's completely fine for what I want. I went to the Warsaw Uprising Museum General in Warsaw, which is quite fascinating. It's something like 3 or 4 in private collections, Jenny. As far as I'm aware, there's one in a museum somewhere, like an official US kind of military museum, and it's in a part on, like gas masks and civil defense. Then I think there's somebody in Japan potentially that has one. I think somebody else in America who has one in private collection. I know at least one of the ones in private collections is in like really bad condition. But it's still worth a shitload because of how rare it is. But I think the person who owns one in Japan isn't even a gas mask collector. It's just some woman who's obsessed with collecting Disney stuff, apparently. But it is a very low number of US Mickey Mouse masks that are still around. Well, that's impossible to answer, Nazar, but considering the Soviet Union built over 100 million GP5s, supposedly, I don't know how many over 100 million, but if you say that number's 100 million exactly, and then you assume some have rotted away or been destroyed or whatever, I still think it's going to be dozens of millions at this point. No, I think the M56 is a great helmet. It was one of the best steel pops in terms of ballistic protection. All right, General. Well, yeah, they basically had to bomb Warsaw block by block, and some of that was done as punishment. But obviously, the Poles were betrayed by the Russians during the uprising because they were told, partway through fighting that the Red Army would come over and help them. But then Stalin, on purposely, ordered the Red Army not to go in, so as many Poles to be killed as possible. What, you mean like PIF helmets were named down? They're mostly to keep you cool and stop mosquitoes and things biting your head, not to actually offer you any head protection. Yeah, I've seen like the ready orange Soviet diving suit. I think some people have them in Metro. Isn't that technically a submarine escape suit? No. Yeah, I've got a book, Sam, I was showing the other day, that has some of the prototype British masks in it. Let's see if I can find that one again. I mean, there's that one, if you're on about that one, with the filter like that. Was that the one you meant? All right, thank you, DVR Collector. eBay, I think. But the publisher is Europa Militaria number 38, or I don't actually know. Actually, no, it's Crowwood Press, sorry, is the publisher. And there's your RRPs, but I think when I got it, it was like £5 or £6, not like £10 something. My favourite fish. Well, the only surviving fish in my fish tank is a clown loach. Yeah, what I'd like, Sam, is, like I was saying in the other stream, if I get out to show you. My dream book would be like this book on guns, where it's got the like history of certain firearms, and then like, you know, the encyclopedia by a country sort of thing. That sort of thing. I'd love that, but with gas masks, because you could definitely do that as a gas mask and respirator book. When you say thanks, you mean tanks? Yeah, I like tanks. But I'm more into Cold War tanks, to be honest, than World War II tanks. But I still find tanks interesting. But obviously, with World War II tanks, I do really like things like Shermans. I'm not a prepper, Rita. I've still got stuff that would give me a hand if some sort of situations went off, but I'm not a prepper. Let me just go on eBay and type in gas mask book, because I'm interested in seeing if there are other similar books that are going to come up. Okay, there's one that looks like a porn thing that says My Pink Gas Mask by Exotic Adrian Street, which it has like some sort of bodybuilder guy with a children's Mickey Mouse mask on. Okay, that's very strange. Welding safety books. Very cheap books if you wanted one that was instruction manuals for various things. I was looking more for the non-fiction type ones. But sadly, I can't see many that specifically about gas masks. There's one for identifying common American military masks, apparently, but that's £27.60, and I bet it's not many pages. Let's see. Yeah, 260 pages, so it's not a particularly big book. So it's like 10p a page. Wow, that's expensive. Well, I don't think cutting your limb off would help much with radiation sickness, to be honest. I mostly collect a lot of Cold War stuff, DDR, but I've got a bit of World War II stuff. You on about the rat tank? That was bigger than the mouse. Anyway, I'll be finishing the stream in not too long, probably 10 minutes or less. No, I've not written a book. They had one even bigger than the rat, didn't they? In like a prototype, or wasn't necessarily built, but, you know, Nazi Germany. We could build the tanks that are very practical, like the Russian and the American tanks, but instead we will build these giant monstrosities. Yeah, that's it, the monster. That's my Doctor Strangelove voice, in case you're wondering. Unfortunately, our civilian gas masks now look like this because we used all of our money to make the rat. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, some of the wonder weapons the Nazis came up with were pretty fucking stupid. I've watched Series 1 to 3 of Man in the High Castle, or Man in the High Castle. I don't think Series 4 is out yet, is it? One of my mates, Bart, gave me Project Blue Book to watch, but I've not got around to watching that yet. I know that's not about World War II, but it's still quite an interesting thing. I had the V1 and the V2 rocket. V2 rocket was pretty good, but then, of course, Vera von Braun and all the other people involved with it were taking an Operation Paperclip to develop the US nuclear missiles and space program. They didn't nearly have the atomic bomb. Read up about German nuclear development. They didn't basically their nuclear reactor they tried to build didn't work. Again, there was lots of brave things done to stop them, like blowing up the heavy water facility and stuff like that, but they didn't really come close to developing a nuclear weapon at all. Because America had a lot more access to uranium and plutonium than Nazi Germany did, and it still took America quite a lot of development time with more scientists working on it. So that's kind of a bit of a historical fallacy. They probably have eventually got one, but they were more close to making a dirty bomb than a proper nuke. They may have done my name down. I don't know all the weird prototypes they came up with. I know they wanted to do a thing called the America Bomber, which was basically a giant plane that was meant to drop fallout on America. No, I think the moon landing really happened. And the subsequent moon landings, so there's been more than one. I've been to Eden Camp, but that was years and years and years ago. Sort of place I wouldn't mind going back to again, actually. I've been to the Hendon RAF Museum, the one near London, and is Cosford the one where they've got the Vulcan and like the Sabre and the MiG 15 or whatever it is. I've been to that one as well. The Queen or Queen. I like Queen as in Freddie Mercury. The Royals are right, I suppose. Don't really care. Don't care, basically. She doesn't really have any power, so I don't care. I've just answered you, Nazar. No, I don't live in London, thankfully. No, I don't, Rita. You're asking some very weird questions. The Earth is a sphere. Man has gone to the moon. Oh, I've actually not got it. I've got it on my watch list, and I did watch some of those videos you sent me. I was watching some that was it. The Manchester one was called. I can't remember. Was it? It's called something Manchester, wasn't it? The on the channel. But yeah. I watched some of his about the laws. Like the one was quite interesting about how there's lots of things that are technically against the law, but under like freedom of information, apparently 0 people have been prosecuted or fined and all that sort of stuff on some of them. That was very interesting. I'm tempted to get one. I might buy one after the stream. Actually, I'll check my bank balance in a minute just to check I can definitely spare £20. I'm sure I can. I don't know. I'm even thinking I can't, but. Your wish list. Where does that show up? Not your wish list. Your watch list, is it? No, that's a thing for films. There's a thing about Harold Shipman on there. Where do you get your shopping list kind of thing? Oh, there it is on the left, not the right. Yeah, $24.92. Yeah, I'll probably order that after the stream because it says I can get it by tomorrow if I order it in the next 3 hours. I assume that I can literally just turn that around, not turn around, but just go through the frequencies kind of like to listen to stuff. Yeah, seems quite good. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. That's definitely helped, Lisa. But yeah, I really appreciate that. But yeah, so I won't transmit on it. I'll basically just listen to stuff on it. But I don't really have any use in transmitting anyway. I'm not all that into like ham radio kind of transmission stuff. But I'll definitely get one to listen into stuff. I don't know. For ASIN, I really don't know. That's very whatever question, isn't it? I've got a shortwave radio that's really interesting that you can sometimes pick up very strange foreign stations on. I've only watched season 1 of Stranger Things. PMR446 frequencies. Can you still pick up any old number stations on like those sort of radios? Oh, okay, so this is one you can transmit on, is it? That's license exempt. Okay, that's interesting. I've already said Nazar like several times. You need to listen. Queen's all right. I don't really care about the royal family. There you go. Well, it's CCCP is technically just the whole sort of Soviet socialist republics, isn't it? $50 is a bit expensive for an SM67. I wouldn't buy them for 30 quid, to be honest. I've got one, but I wouldn't do it again. You're trolling, aren't you? Goodbye. I think he's being a dick because he's been spamming the chat with other things on different streams. So I don't think it's any loss if he's not on. Yeah, exactly, Mike. You could tell it was getting that way, wasn't it? Keeps asking the same question even when you answer it. Good way to get a block. And then keep being persistent with it. Anyway, I'll finish the stream now because I've gone on for over an hour. Thank you again, as always, Laser, for all the generous donations. Today I filmed a video on the Volksmaster 44. Either tomorrow or Friday, if I get time, I'm going to film that video I said about of trying different mask pole Polish filters on different masks to see if they work properly. I just didn't get a time to do that the other day. So, and because that mask came today, I thought I'd do the thing on the VM44 today. All right, see you, Mike. Yeah, thanks. You enjoy watching the Thomas the Tank Engine things. I think you'll find them very funny. And yeah, I appreciate everybody. I'm going to go order that radio now. Right, cheers. Right, goodbye, everyone.